Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Yellowjackets Hive After Dark, a live Yellowjackets after show. I'm Melanie and Melanie here with.
And I'm Emily.
And we are here to share our initial reactions to Yellowjackets episode 206, which, wow, was that a doozy. Emily, why don't you start by reading the episode description and name, which is Qui?
Sure. So, trapped inside on a snow day, the Yellowjackets revisit the highlights, humiliations, and traumas of health class. Thaisa and Vanessa help each other kindly rewind. Misty explores joining a classic cosmic American tribute band. Lisa helps Natalie carp the day, and Shauna gets a pop quiz on her cookie reading assignment. This one really happened to someone that a friend's girlfriend's second cousin knew, I swear.
All right. And of course, we are on the Showtime mailing list. So we did receive our weekly mail after the week off, which pictured a goldfish, the Yellowjackets rune, and the constructed crib that they made in the teen timeline. And we did indeed see all of those things in this last episode. So,
yeah, we did.
Yes. All right. We've got some fans here. Hello to Moana. We've got Dustin joining us. Hey, Dustin. And, Talia Rice. Did you guys catch the next episode preview, not the MTV scene? Yes, Emily did catch it, in fact.
No, are you referring to the scene? I think she's referring to the scene that they showed during the MTV Movie Awards, which is exactly what I saw.
Okay.
I was just telling you about. So if there is a separate preview for the episode, I did not see that one yet.
Ooh.
I only saw the clip that they showed during the MTV Movie Awards, which was juicy.
Yes, you said there was some face punching going on.
Yes. It was intense. Misty starts singing a song, the song Lightning Crashes by, who's it by?
Live. Loved that song, by the way.
And that really provokes Shauna. And Shauna goes after her and says that Misty killed her baby. She punches Misty in the face. All the other girls start defending Misty, saying that Misty did everything that she could. And then Lottie, she comes face to face with Lottie, and she punches Lottie in the face too, which was insane. This next episode is going to be insane.
Oh my goodness. Cannot wait for the next episode. And, this one was definitely kind of a doozy. I actually didn't rewatch it, which I normally do, because I had a hard time. I mean, I was crying, it was definitely emotional. So you know what, before we get into more of that, why don't we do our Yellowjackets Would You Rather? This one's kind of light, Emily, because we didn't want to go with anything having to do with the baby, because let's face it, there's no good situation or would you rather for what happened with Wilderness Baby. May he rest in peace. Okay, so would you rather kill a goldfish, kind of like we saw Nat do when she took it out of the dish, even though she didn't kill it, or lie to the police?
I think I would have to go with kill a goldfish, because I am I don't do well in interactions with the police. I got pulled over recently for a ticket, and I'm the worst in those situations. So I wouldn't be a very good liar.
Yes. And speaking of talking to the police, there's a behind the scenes photo of Melanie Lynskey at the police station during the scene where she was being questioned. So, unfortunately, she did not really follow the advice of Misty's lawyer cookie very well. I mean, I thought Misty really drilled that in, and here she is just talking and talking and talking. So
I can't believe that she actually admitted to the fact that she had an affair with Adam. That was the last thing that she should have said. And I mean, she tried to frame it in a way where she was like, yeah, I'm just a bored housewife. But he's already suspicious of her, and he thinks that they had an affair. So her confirming that, I feel is just going to confirm that cop's suspicions even more and make him think even more that she's involved in what's going on.
Right. And I mean, this is a behind the scenes photo of Melanie, of Warren and Sarah together, the Sadeckis. They're really in it pretty deep here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. I mean, I wonder if Jeff's going to be that one that ends up taking the blame and Shauna and Callie get off scot-free. I mean, we'll see how it goes, although things aren't looking great for Shauna. So
I don't know, though. Callie kind of stepped up and took a page from Shauna's book by like saying what she said to Kevin Tan about how she was a virgin before she met him, and that if she had to, she could describe his weird ass balls.
I know, right? And as Shelly saying, I loved Callie this episode. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree with that one. Oh my
Yeah.
God, could not be more right. And Joseph family is full on Breaking Bad, like 100%. Oh my God. So yeah, and you know what? Just a quick note. So Liz Garbus actually directed this episode, and she was also responsible for Handmaid's Tale season 4 finale, in which Elizabeth Moss had given birth on her own. And
Okay.
we both are big fans of A Handmaid's Tale, and
Yeah.
I feel like this was such a great fit from a directorial standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like they were filming over a series of like 5 days. It sounds like the entire cast was really behind Sophie Nelisse on this. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it was obviously an emotionally arduous scene to film. And I mean, I think they did a great job. Liz absolutely
Yeah.
crushed it with the directing. And I think that experience from Handmaid's Tale, like, really probably helped her shape the way in which this episode turned
For
out,
sure.
which was
Yeah.
phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
we all knew the baby was coming, right? Like the 3 big things that happened in this episode that we normally kind of highlight on our after show. Of course, the wilderness baby was born, and now we can put a lot of different theories to rest, right? We can
Yes.
put theories to rest that, you know, Adam is not the wilderness baby. Saracusa is not the wilderness baby. Lisa is not the wilderness baby. There is no wilderness baby. He did not survive.
I'm
Which,
so happy that all of those rumors are put to bed now. Like it's not obviously like a happy outcome, like, but it is like the most logical outcome for the scenario that they were in. So it's sad, but it's not surprising at the same time. And I feel like it's better because, I mean, we see a peek into like Shauna's hallucination as to what would happen if the baby actually lived. And that for me was harder than like the baby actually dying, because can you imagine like having to watch that baby like slowly starve to death because she's incapable of feeding it? Like that would be like soul crushing, like absolutely soul crushing.
the whole thing for me was just like one big emotional like journey. And I think the part of it that really got me was like hearing Jackie whisper to her before this whole
Yes.
dream, which kind of cued us into the fact that, you know what, this is probably a hallucination. And in a
Mm-hmm.
weird way, I almost feel like it was like Ghost Jackie's like gift to Shauna, like for her to, in her mind, have spent time and connect with her baby, getting him to latch, which, you know, if you've ever breastfed or tried to breastfeed, like that's like a whole situation. It can be
Yeah.
such a struggle with your supply and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
even though it was a hallucination, that emotional journey of the baby latching at the end for me was like, I was like, I lost it. I was bawling. But knowing it was a hallucination, having that Jackie whispering at the beginning,
Yeah.
I think, you know, kind of set the tone for knowing what would come. But yeah, I just, oof, I mean,
Yeah.
here, yeah. So anyway, the other 2 big moments in this episode, aside from the birth of wilderness baby, Shauna and Callie get questioned by the police, which we touched on, and the adult Yellowjackets reunite at Lottie's compound, which something interesting came of that. Let me pull up the picture here.
Oh,
So
I know what you're gonna pull up. Yep.
yep. When they pan out this drone shot, it shows the shape of the rune overhead where Lottie's compound is.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear
Yep.
that thanks to this fan photo here of how intentionally placed all of these items are to show the shape of the symbol, which has just been such
Yeah.
a recurring thing. And of course, the cult wears it on their necklace. You know, we saw the necklace clue this week, and here we're seeing the symbol from an aerial view, which I found to be very fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I immediately noticed it, and I'm sure you immediately noticed it too. And when I watched it with my husband, when that scene came on, I said, "You see that, right?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm not blind. Like, I can see it."
Yes, yes. And you know what? For me, the teen timeline was everything in this episode.
Yes.
I wouldn't have been mad if it was the teen timeline the entire time. Not to say I didn't enjoy the adult reunion, but also seeing that flash of their health class
Yeah.
pre-crash, I thought was really cool. I love getting a view into what their normal lives were like in a
Yeah.
normal high school setting, not, stranded in the wilderness eating people.
And
So
Jeff, like, passing Shauna that note and, like, the contents of the note, like, I don't remember exactly what they were, but he said something like, "That was a fun tutoring session. Like, I want you to teach me again." Like, obviously, he's implying that they hooked up. So I kind of took that as, like, that had been going on for a little bit longer than, like, we might have thought it was going on for.
right, of course. And, we can speculate that they did probably get together during one of their split ups, but still,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't excuse the fact that it happened and they were still behind Jackie's back. And I mean, I've got to say, like, the karma of it all, like, not to say that it's karma, but like Shauna experienced such a big loss from this
Yeah.
infidelity, from this pregnancy. And I feel like that's very much ingrained in her. And you know what? Like, I think she has to live with something very bad, and it sucks that the cheating happened, but
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it makes me wonder too, like, the fact that the baby didn't live. Like, I mean, we kind of all speculated that that was going to happen, but, like, now it's making me think, like, maybe Jeff really doesn't know about this baby at all because the baby died. So unless she, like, wrote down in her journals that she had this baby and the baby died, like, I think that might be one of the secrets that they decided to keep between themselves, because that's something that if you never tell another soul, like, nobody's gonna know.
Right. And I mean, if he did know, she's lost her opportunity to share that at this point. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't imagine her ever telling him. Although we suspected that he read the journals. So that means he probably she didn't write about the baby being born in the journals, just the
Yeah.
infidelity part of it. So,
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that, like, maybe she didn't write that she was pregnant. Maybe she just wrote that her and Jeff had had sex, and, like, Jackie put two and two together because she found out that she was pregnant, and that's when she thought Shauna was lying. Like, and that's what made her read the journals. Like, and she saw that she hooked up with Jeff. I don't know if she had actually written, like, that she thought she was pregnant. I think that's a little bit up for debate, at least for me.
right, absolutely. Little Rose is asking, did anyone notice the painting of poppies in Shauna's house and one of them has fallen over or dead? You know what? I did not notice that, but I'll say it before and I've said it again. One of my favorite things about doing a live stream is being able to have fans interacting and sharing such things. So, I didn't notice that, but now we know, Jackie's favorite flower was poppy, which is interesting too. We're also getting some comments in here. Yellowjacket Avengers Assemble. And you know what? Let me pull up that photo. We, of course, got all the adults back together as mentioned, and it is looking like it's a little bit Avengery. I mean, they're all kind of standing there. I think for me, the big part of that was Van's face when her and Lottie, like when Lottie turned around, the Lottie Van interaction for me was like something I think we've all been waiting for, even more than Ty Van maybe, because we're hopefully going to find out exactly like what went down with Lottie and Van to have them have this strained relationship. So
yeah, I mean, something big has to happen because, like, at least from what we've seen so far, like, she is a Lottie supporter, like, through and through. So
yes,
something has to happen.
Has to, right? Dustin's asking, I have a burning question. How much information did Lottie tell her therapist about her time in the wilderness? That's interesting. And you know what? I had read something, I think it was either on Twitter or Reddit, that Lottie's therapist is all in her head. We've kind of talked about it being like a plant because it's not her normal person. So is it possible that she is hallucinating this therapist? Because I feel like they've said some pretty questionable things, you know, to her. I've been to therapy before, and I just feel like some of these things are a little bit suspect. So, you know what, Dustin?
Yeah.
Good question. How much did Lottie tell her therapist about her time in the wilderness?
It's
I don't know.
also interesting that in her adult life, everybody refers to her as Charlotte, but the therapist calls her Lottie, and everyone else in the adult timeline calls her Charlotte. So it just struck me as like kind of weird.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, another thing, too, speaking of hallucinations, is the show creators had talked to us about not everything this season will be based in reality. So they set the tone and expectation that there would be hallucinations. They also told us they would not eat the baby. So they did not lie, right? They did not eat the baby in reality in the teen timeline. However, Shauna did hallucinate the group of girls eating the baby. So
Yeah, that was
technically
traumatic.
they did. I mean, it was traumatic, and thank goodness it wasn't real and it was all a hallucination. But yeah, I mean, just another hallucination, right? So
Yeah.
who's to know if some of the other things we've seen have been hallucinated? I do feel like they differentiate a little bit with the camera work and lighting. So you know, it was definitely different from a cinematography standpoint.
Somebody said in regards to Lottie's therapist too that like the first time that she goes there, like you can visibly see the therapist, but then in the subsequent sessions, you don't actually physically see the person. You only see Lottie talking to them, which is another reason why people were saying that they think that the therapist might not be real.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there are a ton of comments in here all about the therapist not being real. So it's definitely out there, and it's not far off, given, like we said, there are definite hallucinations going on that we've seen throughout. Rabies Girl was one. Of course, we see Coach Ben hallucinating.
Yeah.
You know, Shauna hallucinating. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on with the
And
hallucinations.
Coach Ben hallucinated again in this episode too. And this hallucination was really interesting because it was like it was meshing his reality with his fantasy. Like, because he was with Paul and their friends, but they were like in the cabin in the hallucination. But it wasn't like the cabin that he was in currently. It was like a cleaner version of the cabin in a way. So, like, to me, I took that as like he was taking things from his imagination and placing them with his reality, and they were just meshing together.
Right. You know, as Media Guy 226 said in the comments, what are your thoughts on Coach Ben playing charades with his boyfriend and friends in the cabin redressed as a modern living room?
Yes.
So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Coach Ben is definitely spiraling into these you know, wishes or dreams or regrets, all of that stuff.
And that was all that all happened like right after Natalie like brought him over to Shauna to try to get him to help Shauna in labor, and he like freaked out and was like, I just pressed play on a video, like I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm sorry, like I can't help you. And he goes into the bedroom and he covers his ears, and then he has that hallucination to like almost like he was like trying to escape like what was really going on in that moment.
Right. I mean, it's definitely possible that the darkness or whatever this force is out there is kind of infiltrating all of them in different ways and causing different things. I mean, we're seeing Ty sleepwalking. You know, Shauna's obviously gone through what she's gone through. Now we're seeing Coach Ben. And, you know, poor Javi in this episode, too. He's like standing there just not knowing what to do. I mean, when we interviewed Luciano, he alluded to the fact that he saw his friends doing some things. So he's probably still deathly afraid of them.
Yeah.
He's stuck in this cabin with them now. You know, again, before I thought it would be Coach Ben who's next, but I kind of think it's going to be Javi. You know, those Converse shoes he posted from the behind the scenes photo, and then the bottom of the Converse we see in the teaser trailer of them, you know, carrying a body on the stick with those soles of the shoes does not bode well for Javi.
No, the shoes look like the shoes in that picture that you were just referring to of Luciano. Like, And somebody on Facebook said they did like a search for the bottom, like the sole of the shoe in that picture of the shoe on the stick. And it is a Converse. Like they confirm that like it is a pair of Converse sneakers. So
yeah. You know, Kristen Love said, yeah, what's up with him? You'd think he would have at least tried to help out something with Shauna giving birth at all. I mean, yes and no. Like, birth is definitely, I mean, a whole thing. And I can
yeah.
see from like a teenage boy being like completely freaked out about it. But I mean, there's probably other things that he could have done, but he's also probably just still traumatized. I mean,
And none of them really knew what to do. Like they were all like leaning so heavily on Misty, like to take the lead as to what to do for Shauna. And then Misty had that moment where she freaked out and she didn't know what to do. Like, and I don't blame her. Like she's going off of like one health class where they watched a video about how to give birth. Like none of them have any idea what to do. They're all teenagers. Like they're in the middle of nowhere with no medical care. Like they're all guessing. And what happens to Shauna, like she's lucky that she survived. Like honestly.
she's lucky she survived. It seems like she was totally on the brink of death. There was definitely a
Yeah.
lot of blood there. Of course, you know, we knew things probably weren't going to turn out great when the placenta came out first, although it
Yeah.
also did look like there was like a tiny little like piece of maybe a baby in there. I don't know. It was hard
I
to
saw
watch.
someone said that.
Oh my God. So Shelly's saying, I think he, being Javi, might steal the baby's body and they're running after him when they're running into the battle Game of Thrones style from the trailer. I've been dying to know what that scene is since we've seen it in the trailer. I mean, that could definitely be. They're definitely running after somebody.
Yeah.
Next week's episode's called Burial. I don't know. Did they show that yet for the trailer for next week? Anybody who's seen next week's full trailer, did they show that scene for episode 7? I'm curious to know if we
the one of them like all running with,
attacking
like,
with the axes and stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of dying to know when that is. I mean, we've only got a few episodes left, so
yeah, we've only got 3 more.
oh, this is interesting. Dustin, anyone believe adult Lottie is actually adult Mari? Adult Lottie doesn't have a scar on her forehead.
I've seen some people say that like you can't always see her scar. Maybe her scar just faded. I don't know. Like is that possible? They didn't show the running scene. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Michelle, for clarifying that. We appreciate it. Shout out to Michelle, who's one of our patrons. We did recently launch a Patreon. Let me pull up that banner. You can join at patreon.com/Yellowjackets Hive Podcast. We've got one $6 tier. It's, you know, get some nice little perks with it. Helps us support our time putting into making Yellowjackets content. And we appreciate all of our patrons. Thank you to everyone who's joined.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about things, we also have a Co-Ed Naked collaboration shirt. I'm actually wearing my Co-Ed Naked soccer one.
Yep.
Yep. And we have our Co-Ed Naked podcasting one. You can actually shop coednaked.com and use code HIVE20 and save 20% on your entire purchase, no matter what you buy there. So, of course, we know Co-Ed Naked appeared in Yellowjackets. That's why we did the collaboration on the podcasting shirt with the Hive After Dark on the back of it. So check it out. And they've got some really fun other shirts too. So lots of fun stuff over there. Of course, one of our favorite 90s brands.
This is an interesting one. Do you guys suspect the baby was dead right before Shauna passes out, or were you shocked by the end reveal? I think the baby was dead before Shauna passed out. I think that the baby was dead before the baby came out, like stillborn. Yeah.
I think so too. And I feel like I'm not positive, so I don't have a medical background, but with all of the blood loss, I don't know, is that common for a stillbirth? Like when I saw all the blood at first, I was like, you know what? I don't think all that blood's a good sign. Like,
no.
But I agree, Emily. I think that the baby was probably dead before it came out, unfortunately.
Especially because, like, from what I've read, like, when that happens, like, when the placenta comes out first, it's because something called, like, placental abruption, where it, like, where it detaches from the wall of your uterus, and then it's not giving the baby nutrients or oxygen or anything like that anymore. So once that happens, then unless you're in labor and the baby's like ready to come out, like that's going to be the end scenario.
Right. I mean, I think we all kind of knew in the back of our minds that Wilderness Baby wasn't going to survive, just from like a scientific standpoint of like the nutrition, of the health of Shauna, in the wilderness. So again, I mean, it wasn't a big shock, but it was still devastating to watch. I think when she started saying, why can't you hear him crying? I just about lost it. Like emotionally, it's been a really rough week of TV for me. So like A Million Little Things ended. Firefly Lane ended, and both of those finales were I cried the entire time. So I was already in an emotional state, and then for this episode to come, like I knew it was coming, but it really hit me hard. I couldn't rewatch it. I just it was,
and that speaks to how well Sophie Nelisse performed in the episode too. Like she was phenomenal. Like she was so heartbreaking, and she really like. I've read articles that said that she's going to be put up for best lead actress in a drama for the Emmys. And after that performance, like she deserves it. Like that was really, really, really good.
It's incredible, especially for such a young person who doesn't have this experience of having given birth before, to play it just in such an engrossing way where, I mean, everybody was just drawn to the television. I'm curious to know how many people didn't realize it was a hallucination. If you're in the comments,
my husband didn't.
Your husband didn't. Okay. I'll admit at first, like I was kind of like thinking maybe it's real, but I'd heard Jackie whisper. So in my mind, I'm like, this is another death vision. It's just like what happened when Jackie died. Someone had said in the comments earlier, you eat when you're on the brink of death. Like Lottie had the Chinese food in the mall food court. Jackie got the hot cocoa, and Shauna's baby ate. So in her death dream. So there is a component of that, I think, somewhere. But okay, Kim, I did not. Okay, see. Let's see. Joseph, not at all. Ending was pretty brutal. So the way that they did it, I mean, they did it so masterfully where not everybody realized, what was happening.
When the part in her dream when like the baby actually breastfeeds and Natalie like comes in, Natalie's reaction too was really weird. Like it was like she wasn't like happy, and they also focused on the tea that Natalie gave her, and I took that to mean that maybe she put something in the tea that made her fall asleep in her dream. And that's when they took the baby from her.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. I mean, that definitely makes sense. And you're right. That was not a very like Nat moment. Like it wasn't Nat. I mean, we had seen, when Nat went into comfort Lottie, when she was, on the brink of death or whatever, and they said, good game, bitches, or whatever it was. Like Nat, like that moment when Nat came in to see Shauna, you're right. It was just not very Nat. So Alice and Bruno, I thought the same. Natalie's reaction was strange too, Lindsay said. And Michelle said, I think the tea was a red herring, so we think it's not a hallucination. I mean, absolutely. And then Alyssa, what about when Ty was standing at the door when she brought her into the room? Right? And then, yes, as Allison said, Ty was strange too, bringing the cradle into the room and storming out. Like there was definitely some weird stuff going on in the hallucination. But there's nothing I would have wanted more than that for that baby to survive. But as we also said, like watching the baby die a slow death from malnutrition isn't, good either. So no matter what, it's a losing situation because that baby could not have survived out there.
And a lot of almost every article that I've read that the showrunners have given since this episode premiered too, like they said that very early on they made the decision to make the baby die. Like that's where they knew the story was going to go, because it's more impactful as to why Shauna is the way that she is as an adult. Like it explains so much about who she is, why she can't bond with Callie, like why her relationship with Callie is so strained, because she's afraid that, like, she's always been afraid that she was going to lose that again, like she did when she was a teenager.
Right. Oh my gosh. This whole storyline just gives me kind of a new respect for adult Shauna, right? Like
Yeah.
knowing what she's been through. Because I mean, we all, I think, kind of at times judge her harshly, although also realize that it's a product of PTSD and, major trauma she experienced. And now to really see that trauma actually unfold and know what she
Mhm.
went through, I mean, gosh, it is no wonder that she is the way she is. And it makes me so sad for her as a character. And
Yeah.
I just can't get over the writing of this show and how well they've done in both timelines to truly manifest that trauma in such a profound way.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Where'd that
Sorry.
go?
Sorry.
I just know there was one that I wanted. Okay, here we go. She said, "Was Lottie breastfeeding the baby? It's hard to tell. I'm surprised Shauna didn't punch her then."
It
Yeah,
looked
I
like
mean,
she was, right?
I took it as that's what she was doing. And then Allison said, then Lottie breastfeeding the baby saying, "We need to eat." That's when Shauna asked what she said. And she changed it to, "He needs to eat." Yeah. I thought she said, "We need to feed."
I thought she said that too. Daniel said
Ooh,
too.
sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. Let's see. On top of the trauma and stress, extreme cold, hunger, and lack of sleep are all inducive to hallucinations. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that is an absolutely viable thing. And one more from Dustin. Has anyone possibly thought adult Shauna might be pregnant with Adam's baby?
No.
Never ran across my mind, but that would be something. I mean, if she was to get pregnant for the second time in her life while in an extramarital, although it wasn't marital in high school, an extracurricular affair, I mean, I'm sorry, that would just be too much.
Yeah.
That would be like way too much. So
Yeah.
I
No,
hope
I
not.
can't see them taking it in that direction.
And you know what? She did say we need to feed. So yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, like, at the end of that interaction, she says to Shauna, "You'll understand soon enough," which that was another point in that sequence that made me like think, okay, this isn't real. Like, why would she say something like that? That's such a strange thing to say. Like, I mean, Lottie like is kind of cryptic sometimes, but the whole thing just had like a weird undertone to it, the way that everybody was interacting with her in this hallucination.
Right. And, as media guy is saying, I think Shauna may really go off the rails now that the baby's gone. Braiding dead Jackie's hair and ear snack may have only been a preview. And you know what? I mean, the show creators have said that, the worst thing we see this season will not be the cannibalism. So there's definitely an opportunity for things to unfold and get a lot worse in the
Yeah,
Wilderness
like
timeline.
I mean, because the ground is frozen solid, so like how are they gonna like I'm sure Shauna's gonna want to bury the baby or something like that. So how are they even gonna do that? I mean, they couldn't do that with Jackie. Are they gonna do the same thing with the baby that they did with Jackie? Or because I don't think they're gonna let her hang on to it for 2 months like they did with Jackie.
Oh, no. And, speaking to that point, next episode is called Burial,
Yeah.
and the ground is frozen. So maybe it's not about the baby being buried. Maybe it is, like you were saying, about Adam's torso being recovered after
Yes.
it had been buried. And the body is what's going to come back to really make that police storyline move forward even more. So, yeah.
I didn't see the preview so for next week, so I didn't see if they showed that scene where we see the police officers with the caution tape like investigating something that we saw in the trailer.
I
But
know. I didn't see it either. So yeah, I don't know. But as people are saying in the comments, yeah, it's probably about the torso. And quickly to speak about the title of the episode, "Qui," it means who in French, right?
yeah.
So is that referring to the baby? Is it referring to the adult timeline? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't really know. That this one's not like super clear.
Oh, the police clip is not there for the trailer
Okay.
for next week. Okay, that's interesting. And then someone just said, Dustin, maybe they could bury the baby near those melted stumps. I still can't believe they haven't investigated that yet.
Yeah, I hope we get some kind of an answer as to why they keep showing us these tree stumps with this like weird moss, and it's not just like for camera angles or something like that. Like it seems like it means something to the story.
Right. Shelley just said, I think Walter was trying to contact Misty to let her know they found Adam's torso. Oh, that's interesting. I can't wait for Walter to be back. Oh, and Lucia said it's pronounced Key. Okay. I thought it was Quee. I thought it was Quee. Sorry about that.
It was Quee too.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So, wow. Next week is going to be, oh, here we go. Kim. I think it's referring to the scene where Van and Ty are trying to figure out who is we. Okay, you know what? That's a good one. That pronoun was brought up for that, so that makes sense. And then actually, you know, Allison's pointing out in Shauna's monologue to the baby, she says she can't wait to see who he'll be, wondering if that had to do with it. You know what? I think that could definitely be it. So yeah. I feel like usually I rewatch and I pick up on these things, but again, I just am not rewatching this one. So thank you guys for filling in some of those. Ooh, and Alyssa is saying it does show a snippet of Ty and Van kissing. That's exciting. Oh, I like that. Okay. Yes.
That's going to make a lot of people happy.
Yes, definitely. So we're going to have a lot more to unpack with this episode in our weekly recap, which we're doing a different time this week. We're doing it tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to live stream it because we love live streaming for the comments. We know it's not the most ideal time, but our schedules are kind of tricky. So sometimes it's like fitting pieces of a jigsaw puzzle together to be able to, get our content recorded and streamed. And so anyway, join us tomorrow. We will fully recap it. And there's so much more to discuss with this episode, Emily. There's more on the health class. There's the blood sacrifice, which we didn't really get into, like Travis leading the charge with that. I think that was, more on the topic of this buy-in we've been talking about with Travis really buying into Lottie in both timelines. We can talk more about Lottie and her therapist, Natalie almost killing the fish, and of course, more on the birth scene. So I don't know. Let's see. What is Michelle saying here? So maybe a shallow grave and something takes him, then the chase with the weapons. Ooh.
Yeah, I've seen people saying they think that maybe like an animal will dig it up and they will try to get the body back from the animal. And that's what they're like charging at.
Right. Hey, Moana, thank you so much. Love you, ladies. Thank you. You know what? We love being here, and there's nothing we love more than the fandom. We are here to create Yellowjackets content. That is our passion. That's what we're here to do. And we work really hard at it. We book all of our own interviews. Speaking of which, we should tease that we will have Maya Lowe and Jenna Burgess on in a couple of weeks. So we're excited about that. Get two of our JV girls on. But, we love doing this. And again, like we really hustle to create this content. We do it all on our own with no help from anybody. So we appreciate the opportunity and we appreciate everybody consuming our content. So thank you so much for that. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Allison, thank you so much. This live is so fun. You ladies are amazing. We cannot even tell you how much we appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yes, we will unpack more on this episode in our deep dive on the episode tomorrow. Again, 9:30, 12:30. If you've not buzzed into our Patreon yet, feel free, patreon.com/Yellowjackets Hive Podcast. We will be doing an exclusive Patreon episode in the month of May, and the topic will be, is Misty a serial killer? So that will be accessible to all of our patrons. And again, thank you to everyone who signed up for our Patreon.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So, thank you, Michelle. The Patreon is great. You guys should all join. Michelle actually just won a mug from the Showtime Paramount shop for joining our Patreon before the month of May. So, we've got some fun perks and giveaways and all that stuff. So, yeah, definitely. But thank you guys for tuning in tonight in the comments too. It is so nice engaging live. Of course, we're all over like the Facebook. Emily is like the Reddit citizen detective expert and, manages all the Reddit stuff. So in addition to being active online, it's just so much fun to do this in real time with everybody.
Yeah, that's the best part. I love chatting with everybody. It feels like we're all in one big group chat.
It sure does. It sure does. And oh, hey, another person we're going to be collaborating with this month is Kelly McClure of Salon. She is going to be joining us for an episode recap on May 22nd. And we could not be more excited to talk with Kelly. She's a friend of the podcast, and we've developed a fun relationship over Yellowjackets. And it's going to be great to get some insights from her. And if you haven't already, check out her Salon article covering this last episode. It had some really good insights on there. She recently interviewed Nicole Maines as well. So Kelly McClure's
that was a good interview too.
Oh my God, it was so great. Nicole was so fun to watch, and the clips that we saw and the content in the interview was just fantastic. So we highly recommend that. As Allison is saying, Yellowjackets emotional support chats have become necessary. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And Dustin is saying, just think, after May, we'll have to wait 2 years or longer for season 3. Hopefully not that long. Of course, there is a writer's strike going on, which, by the way, total solidarity. Writers work so hard and put so much time into that. And as a union member myself, I completely, am with the writers. We stand with WGA. And even though the season's going to end, we have plans for a lot of fun content and fan engagement activities, even after the season's over. So don't worry, we're still here for all of the Yellowjackets fun and fandom.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Yes, we are definitely not going anywhere. So anyway, thank you guys all for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow as we cover this episode more in depth.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Yes. Until we spill again.